Now, this is a big number, 22 points here. And Michigan remembers last season.
Oh, yeah.
The one loss they had in the regular season.
You better believe they do. They're in East Lansing. I was there to witness that, and it was a bit surprising. I think it shocked Michigan. There was a controversial call there, too. I think it was a sack. Maybe it was down in the sack fumble and all that in the end zone. But I digress. Michigan's on the warpath right now to get back to the Big Ten championship game and kind of showcase their dominance, not only just over the little brother in Michigan State, but also Ohio State. And you go back and look at their rushing attack a couple weeks ago versus Penn State, absolutely dominant. Going into that game, Penn State hadn't given up 400 yards combined all year, let alone give over 400 yards just in one game to the Michigan running backs. So a dominant performance. I think this is one of those games you look at and go, just a bad matchup. Michigan State's the fourth worst rush defense in the Big Ten. They're second worst against the pass. Defensively, Mel Tucker has not been able to get this group going. And offensively, they're not what they were last year without Kenneth Walker. It looks like he may be the offensive rookie of the year. So I think this is a game where Michigan makes a statement at home versus Michigan State. I'm laying those points here, Danny.
I looked at the Michigan State team. Michigan State's a hard team to figure out, right? It's been way below the standards. They just paid Mel Tucker $95 million, and you come out, it's like, what happened? Then they get a win against Wisconsin after Wisconsin had beat Northwestern 42-7. And you're like, what are you going to get? I think you have two teams that have really separated themselves in Ohio State and Michigan. And I don't think many teams are on their level, including Michigan State. So I'm on the same side of you as this one. I think Michigan wins. I think they win big. I don't know if Jim Harbaugh pays attention to the polls with them being fourth and they want to move up potentially. I don't think it matters that much. But there have been some criticisms and valid criticisms of their schedule, which is extremely light, especially that non-conference, which started off with the weakest slate of maybe anybody in the country. So much so that if they're in a situation where they're potentially a one-loss team, they need style points. And I think they get some style points here against a Big Ten conference opponent, against a rival, against a brand that still resonates if it's a big win, and I think they do get it. So I'll lay the 22 as well. I'd like to see them open it up a little bit more with J.J. McCarthy, but if they don't have to and Blake Corum still makes this unlikely run potentially to a Heisman Trophy candidate, why push that? But I do think at some point I'd like to see a little bit more out of J.J. McCarthy. Let him throw it, because when you do have that matchup with Ohio State, you might need some more explosive firepower. So maybe we see them work on that a little bit too. Either way, I'm laying the points.
To Danny's point, that was something that, sitting around Michigan for about a month, you kept thinking you're going to see more go routes, more deep posts, something that would stretch the field, even versus Indiana, which is one of the worst defenses in the Big Ten in regards to pass defense. And the stats looked good at the end of the game, but there just weren't really those plus 20, plus 30 shots downfield that I think you're going to have to eventually make in order to beat Ohio State, or once you get into the college football playoff, be able to compete with some of those teams. So to Danny's point, I'd love to see it. I don't know if maybe the coaching staff or Jim Harbaugh is hesitant to put J.J. McCarthy in that position right now.
They looked great in the second half against Penn State a few weeks ago, and we're still trying to figure out who's that next team after Ohio State and Michigan. Penn State is going to try to prove that they're that next team this week.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.